Okay, doctor, tell me about the chronicles of your life.
The Chronicles of the Doctor. So, I had something prepared. I'm going to supersede that with something that's happening to me right now. You can hear it in my voice. I am not my usual sexy, deep doctor voice that you've come so accustomed to hearing. We had one listener reach out and said, well, I had a lovely bedside manner. At the moment, I just don't feel like myself. I hear myself speak. I'm like, who is this speaking?
That compliment,
Yeah.
I wish I didn't give you that compliment because I knew you would cling on to it and it goes straight to your head.
No, to be fair, it's not something I've not heard before. I've heard it a lot of times. So it's not being cocky. I know what I'm good at and I'm good at communicating. So it is what it is, man. A kanda is a kanda, man. This bottle is red. There's nothing cocky about saying the bottle is red. You know what I mean? So here's what it is.
Wow.
That's it, bro. Don't come at me. So, but yeah, it's weird, man, when your voice isn't your voice. And I always know that is always for me the beginning of the cold. So I had this wedding last week. It was in London. Had to wake up at 4 a.m. to get there. We'll talk about the wedding another day and how, the timings overran massively. But yeah, so I start getting this kind of sharp feeling right in the throat. And I'm like, it's coming. Friday, reception, fine. Coffee fueled.
Glass.
Swallowing
glass.
Yeah, exactly that. Saturday, had a line. Meeting got cancelled. I was like, oh, okay. I'm okay. Went for dinner at in-laws' house. Went to the Goose Fair, which is like a fair. Went on a few rides. Oh, my God. When we were there, man, just side story. You know the revolvers? But like at a fair where they can actually spin you even more. Well, on that, and Shindy's like, faster.
You mean a teacup?
No, teacup is what you call it when it's just nice and gentle. Revolver is like, remember Drake Man, the black revolver? But yeah, it's a teacup, but it goes really fast.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But at these, it's like unregulated, these kind of like, these random places.
Yes, they
So
are.
the guy just kept spinning it, man. Yeah. And I just came off and I was like disoriented. My back was hurting. But side point, didn't need that. And then Sunday, go on, question.
Never go on those fucking rides. I've seen too many fails and too many things going wrong. I've seen the big swing ride that goes like round in a circle up to the top and then back around.
Coming down like this.
Sometimes they're not bolted to the floor properly. And they're not even bolted down at all. So you see people running down to pull down the ride to stop it from toppling over. When I saw that, I'm like, I'm never going on one of those fucking rides again. Ever. I don't care. I don't care if a kid will cry and go into a fucking fit in case on the floor. I don't care. You can sob what you want. I'm not costing your life for the sake of this ride. Right? No, it's not happening.
Right. So, question then. We're going to Winter Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
So not going to go on the rides.
Winter Wonderland's regulated, Goran. A pop-up fair is not
there you go. Look
very
at
different.
This is premium because in London it's premium, okay?
No, it's not premium.
London.
There's some in London that are random pop-up fair stores that I wouldn't go to either. Winter Wonderland is regulated. It's like a real set.
Stamp.
Health and safety checks. Every year it returns.
That's it.
I'm like, you ain't cutting corners.
Baby.
All right? There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a side point. But Saturday, like I said, during the massage, man, that's when I was like, oh, man. Oh, daddy. Main ho gaya hoon. And then the fever starts. So, guys, it's that time of year, okay? It's going around hospitals, going around everywhere. I've got it. I gave it to Shindy. She's not very happy about that. I was at work today. More people had it. So, now the cold is not like the flu, okay? The flu is much worse. That's the first thing to understand. So, I remember both the cold and the flu are viral illnesses, as is COVID. So there is no role for antibiotics. Big misconception. Got a lot of people coming to hospital. I want antibiotics. I'm not getting any better. The simple thing is, and here's the thing about antibiotics, right? Antibiotics are only doing what your body would already do or is doing otherwise. Okay? So antibiotics are simply to expedite what your body's doing. In the case of a bacterial infection, the reason we give the antibiotics is if we allowed your body to fight it, maybe you wouldn't survive. That's basically it, right? So we think you're not going to be able to buffer, and we need to accelerate that, expedite it, give you antibiotics. Now, in the case of viral infection, virus, there is no role for it. So, what can you do? Well, obviously, each year get your flu jab. Okay, so that's trying to cover the most prevalent strain. Obviously, for the common cold, there is nothing you can do per se, apart from the preventive measures to not try and not get it from someone. If you think someone's infected, irrespective of what the infection is, do all the stuff you just learned during the pandemic, man. Keep away from them. Tell them to put a mask on. Put a mask on yourself if you want. Wash your hands regularly.
Social distancing, mask up, wash your hands, don't touch your face, walk away,
It's all the
run
same.
away,
Yeah.
isolate for 2 weeks,
away.
don't talk to your family, disappear off the face of the earth, and then re-emerge, okay?
Don't talk to your family. That's the key one, okay?
That's it, there you go.
Yeah, it's not sexy medicine, but it makes a lot of sense. It's very practical medicine, practical advice. People just need to follow it. That's prevention. If you do start having the symptoms, right, when you're coughing, sneezing, into there, not on the hands. If you're going to do the hands, fine, but then go and wash them, right? Yeah, exactly, like that. It's what we call the vampire sneeze or vampire cough. Blow your nose, the whole, what was it, sneeze it, catch it, bin it, or whatever that slogan is that the government always goes on about. But the same thing, same sort of principle. Expect much higher temperatures in a viral illness. So normal temperature in a person, let's say, is up to 37.4. When you have an infection, so it can be over about 37.8, which is a low-grade fever. 38, we start saying, this is a respectable temperature. But the kind of the 41s that we see, the really high temperatures, that tends to be viral infections, right? Now, the key thing, the big push in the NHS from the government is, do you have signs of sepsis? Do you need to get in the hospital? Sepsis is the big thing. So what is sepsis? Right. Any infection in the body, so common sites for infection are chest infection and a urine infection, the most common sites for infection, if left untreated, or if the person has a weakened immune system because they have chronic disease or they have something else or they're elderly, if it manages to spread from its primary location, so a chest infection that's not just in the chest now, spreads to the bloodstream and it starts affecting your whole body and your whole body starts responding like the infection's everywhere, we call that sepsis. Okay? So sepsis is when your body goes completely berserk, right? Overdoes it with its response in the aims to combat the infection. And some of that's useful, some of that's not useful. Okay? That's what we call sepsis. Generally, the things we get concerned about and we tell people at home is if you've got, if you're extremely short of breath, high temperatures that lead you to shake and shiver, which we call rigors, when you get the chills, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, right? If you've got a rash, so a skin infection that is spreading, that just keeps spreading. I've said about the breathing already. If you've got what we call an altered consciousness, so if you start feeling drowsy, or if your family starts saying, mate, you seem really confused, this is not like normal, you're really sharp, especially for a young person, then you need to come in and we need to screen you and make sure you haven't got sepsis. Because as soon as you hit the hospital, what we then have is what we call the golden hour. We have 6 things that we need to do within an hour that massively improve the outcome when it comes to the management of sepsis. So that you don't become even more unwell if it is that. Okay? And those 6 things that we do are we give 3 and we take 3. That's how we teach it at medical student level. So the 3 things we need to give, remember it's all in the context of 1 hour, is give some broad spectrum antibiotics. So high level shit, right? So in hospitals, for us, that's normally tazocin or augmentin or comoxiclav, high level. Broad spectrum meaning it's like Domestos, it can fight most things. Ultimately, what we want to do ultimately what we want to do to prevent antibiotic resistance is use the most appropriate antibiotic for the right bug, right? And that's always why you'll see a doctor saying, if we've got something, let's culture it. So if you're bringing up phlegm, I want a sample. I want to see what bugs are in there. If you're burning and stinging when you pass water, give me a sample, right? So I want to take, if you've got something I can swab, so like an ulcer, let me take a swab. I want to see if I can grow a specific bug and then give you the most targeted therapy. So we're not using our broad spectrum stuff on everything, because eventually what will happen is these germs will evolve. And they'll evolve, and it means that those antibiotics, so this is what we talk about down the line, 3-4 generations, those guys will have common infections and we won't have antibiotics to treat them with. That's
so
where the whole
antibiotic
argument
resistance
is a real thing, yes. So, like I said, what were we talking about on the podcast? I was saying like, oh yeah, we talked about it. So there are some countries where you can just buy antibiotics without prescription.
Yeah,
how bloody dangerous is that?
Last week.
Right? Then you got people taking antibiotics for like a virus. Oh, I've got coronavirus, so I'll just have a bit of this. I've got a cold, so I'll have some antibiotics. I'm not getting better. Why am I not getting better? Because it's not bloody working, isn't it? Right. So give some broad spectrum antibiotics. Give oxygen if required. So if you're hypoxic, low oxygen levels, give some oxygen, a very simple measure. Give some fluid. So as you experienced when you were ill, what did you do in the night? You sweated, right? In a day, a normal person who's not ill will lose about 1.5 liters of fluid. in perspiration, so breathing.
Nice.
Sweat that you can't see. Standard. Everybody, right? In heightened states of infection, as you saw when your bed sheets are drenched, you're losing 3-4 liters. So most likely, this person whose query now has sepsis is going to be dehydrated. Coupled with that, what happens to your appetite when you're unwell? You do not feel like eating, right? So you don't feel like eating, so you're not taking it, and you're losing it, right? You're going to be dehydrated. So give oxygen, give fluids, give antibiotics. Those are the 3 that you give. Take 3. So we want to measure the urine output. So the urine output is a great indicator for how well your body is. Obviously, if you don't produce urine, that's a bad thing. Okay. Urine is obviously there to get rid of all toxic things. If it accumulates, bad things can happen to you. So we want to measure how much that is. Now, at its most simple level, we can give you like a urine bottle if you're a man and say, look, every time you pee into that, and we measure it. At the more kind of a sort of a intrusive level, it's pop a catheter in, so we can measure hourly how much urine you're making. What we aim for when we measure is 0.5 ml per kg per hour. So a 70 kilogram man, average man, 35 mils of urine per hour is the minimum I would expect your body to produce. Okay, so that's one thing we take, as it were. Second thing is what we call a blood culture. So we talked about taking cultures from other places, but if that infection is in the bloodstream, I want to see what bug is that, so I can again target the therapy. And the third thing is what we call a lactate. So it's a specific type of blood test. So you'll remember from biology, even at kind of secondary school level, Indy, there's aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Okay, so in states of sepsis, when your body's going berserk, what can happen is you can have too much anaerobic respiration. Lactate can then be. This isn't completely medically accurate because the medical reasoning is slightly more complicated, but this is kind of what we're trying to see is what we're trying to measure is the most vulnerable parts of the body. Okay, what we call the end organs, so your heart, your kidney, your brain. How well are they being perfused? How well are they receiving blood? That's what we're trying to see. What's the perfusion like? The way to measure that with a surrogate marker is this number called the lactate. High lactate, those organs aren't being perfused, need to get some more fluids in there. Lactate normal, I'm less worried, I've got time. So those are the 6 things. We have the golden hour, and we have to attack people with the 6 things. So if you're ever concerned, and you'll hear, if you call it 999, they'll ask you these symptoms because they're screening for the same thing. Could this be sepsis? Could this be sepsis? We don't want to miss sepsis. We get in early, good result. You don't get in early, can lead to sort of you becoming very, very unwell and needing kind of ITU and lots of other kind of high level things.
Jesus.
So there you go.
Damn, bro, that's a lot. All right, so to sum up, sepsis, signs of sepsis. Go.
So sepsis, any infection that's untreated that goes into the bloodstream, body goes into overdrive, we call that sepsis. Okay. Signs of sepsis, so shortness of breath, shivering, rigors or chills through your body, basically going hot and cold, altered conscious level. Those are the big ones I would think about. And
is it true if you call 999 and you tell them, or they think it's sepsis, do they turn a different light on to get to you, or is there a different ambulance that gets dispatched to you?
I think, yes, the category for sepsis is higher. You've got to obviously know to say that, though. Look, obviously, there are some people who play the game and they know, like saying chest pain, for example. Obviously, the ultimate kind of you're going to get an ambulance now is if you say cardiac arrest. So, you know, if someone's dead, then obviously that's going to be the quickest response there is. And you probably get 2 ambulances.
I think there's a different light that comes on when it's sepsis, or they dispatch a different type of ambulance. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true.
I don't think so. You can ask Sanj.
I'll ask my wife.
There's no different light. There's a blue light. There's either there's a light or there's no light. Yeah, definitely ask Sanj. But there's no special light for sepsis. When we send ambulances, we'll either say blue light or non-blue light. That's all we'll say. Do you need flashy, flashy? You don't need flashy, flashy.
Flashy, flashy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flashy, flashy, baby. The jams. And yeah, I guess the final point, guys, is keep it simple, right? Like, we've just come through a pandemic. Cold, flu, COVID is back, by the way. So I'm seeing a lot of COVID cases now. Mm-hmm. So just be sensible. Don't be lax. Do the simple things well. Get your jabs, get your vaccines, and just crack on. That's it. Yeah. Lovely.